What's going on, everybody? This is Jeremy from USARK here, and I'm joined by my buddy today, Randy from Stoic Arboreals, and I'm super stoked to be able to talk with him. Not just because we both love Amazon tree boas, but because Randy's just a great guy. So, what's going on, Randy? How you doing, man?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me on. Love to talk reptiles. You know that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, for people who might not know you, what got you into reptiles?
I've always been intrigued with just critters. As a kid, I've always wanted to turn logs and just go look in my backyard for spiders or anything creepy crawly. That was just kind of my brothers and I's doing. Uh, Traveled, with my dad being a Navy pilot, California, Texas, Florida, Washington. There's always something different to see. Um, But what it was is, I wanted something unique, and I was a little bit intimidated by not just reptiles, but snakes in general. Growing up, my mom told me I could have anything I wanted. I just couldn't have snakes. So that kind of led me to
You-
to gain a real fascination on why I couldn't have that.
Yeah.
And just coming to the understanding that like there's usually a deep rooted like interest and fascination in this fear that we have for these serpents. And the more you learn about something, that fear starts to just kind of fizzle away. And that's what it did for me. And not just fizzle away, but it sparked a whole new passion and interest that I didn't know was there. And it ran with it, man.
Heck yeah, dude. So you're heavy into Amazons, heavy
Yeah,
into green tree pythons. What led you to that place versus, like a ball python or something like
sure. And I think most of us start there, right? We're trying to get it like figure out which species works for us.
Mhm.
Um, and I did. I started with ball pythons and leopard geckos, and I bred those. But I always kind of wondered like what was next. Like after I did this, what's next? And I know when I start to feel like that, it's not really what I'm working with at the moment. That's really catching my fascination. It's maybe the next thing. I like to be challenged. I have to be challenged. So I really started gaining interest in green tree pythons, just arboreals in general. Challenging. It was actually my first snake species that I produced was the green tree pythons, and then I produced the ball pythons, which doing it in that order, you kind of get a little jaded to things, and the ball pythons kind of quickly exited my life. There's nothing wrong with them. I love reptiles in general. It's just they don't challenge me the same way some of these other snakes do. Um, and that being said, I want to be challenged, but at the same time, I want to have a good time. The green tree pythons are very challenging. Not necessarily to keep; they're pretty easy to keep. But when you start breeding them, sometimes things go wrong. It's usually like they will go wrong with green tree python breeding. So I wanted to have something that was had kind of the similar aesthetics, but was a little hardier.
Mhm.
And that's where I started stumbling across the Amazon tree boas. And I kind of just did it as like a backup for the green tree pythons. I just wanted to have like something else, an alternative, so that people that maybe were interested in the green tree pythons, but maybe couldn't keep them or was intimidated, they had like a backup option. But quickly, I realized that my passion went from green tree pythons to what are these Amazon tree boas and why are they come in so many colors and why don't people talk about these?
Yeah.
And it just blew up from there. I put the green tree pythons on the back burner.
Mhm.
A lot of people are like pretty, that's pretty. It's pretty odd in this industry to do that because they're kind of known to be like the more pinnacle uh, species to keep.
Yeah.
And I've really just fallen in love with them. They come in so many different colors and patterns, and we don't know what the heck we're doing yet. I love being kind of that groundbreaking level, figuring things out with the community. We're all working hand in hand. It's pretty fun. So I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying this ride right now.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree on that. Like just
Yeah.
being at the ground floor, trying to figure all the things out about the species is definitely really fun and challenging for sure. So Amazon's come in a bunch of different colors and we still don't know what the heck everything is and why they look the way they do. But what's what is like your vein color wise? Like what are you going for the most of?
So initially it started with calico, right? Like the red calico stuff, like that's catches everyone's eye. Even if you're not into snakes, you'll walk by a table and you just always like, what is that? Like when I go to expos, I try to take a couple holdbacks so people could see like what the snakes could look like, what those calicos look like in person, and how striking that red is to the eye.
Mhm.
Um, but quickly I've learned that it's tiger. I think anything for me like that's tiger
Yeah.
in combination with something else is just like that does it for me, those stripes.
Yep.
So, and it's nice because tiger's a dominant gene, so you can kind of just play with it all over the place.
Mhm.
Um, the calico tiger stuff's really cool. The tricolor tiger stuff's super cool. The bicolor tiger stuff's really cool. So we're just really, trying to figure that stuff out. But I think like the calico tiger stuff is like that's my jam. Those are the cool. Those snakes, it's hard for me to stop staring at them.
I 100% understand. Mine would
Yeah.
probably be happier with me if I stopped opening enclosures.
Yep.
Hey,
What are you gonna do, you know?
exactly, exactly. So I don't even want to touch it. I just want to look at it. I just want
Yes. Exactly. But no,
to.
I love them, man. Like I've just fallen in love with the species. Like I don't care if they're worth a lot of money. I don't care if people want to pay me a lot. If I like them, it's cool to just be able to go in my room after a long hard day and just look around and take a deep breath and appreciate the fact that you get to keep all these cool things. And it just looks like Skittles in my room, It's like red and yellow and black and all kinds of colors all over the place, and they're cruising at night. They're always out draped all over the place, so they're my favorite by
Yeah,
far.
absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely like the fact that they're an arboreal species that really still utilizes all aspects of their enclosure. They'll hide
Absolutely.
under things, they'll hide in things, on top of things, and
Yep.
perch like anything. So I definitely like that versus which, not to throw shade at like green trees or emeralds that are pretty much just like they're perched and that's pretty much what you see. But it is cool to see an arboreal animal really utilize all elements of its enclosure for sure.
Oh yeah, and, it's with green tree pythons. They're awesome because they just perch up like a little melted cinnamon bun over that stick. But they're always going to be in that same spot. And if they're not, you know something's wrong, right? Are they going through some cycle? Are they sick? What's going on? They're not in the same spot on the same stick every single day.
Right.
Amazon, sometimes you got to look for them like, oh, where are they today? Like up in the little pothos or down in this little hide or over that rock or draped across these branches. They're all over the place all the time. I really enjoy keeping them.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I used to joke with people because when I first started getting into them, a lot of the ones that I had liked to hide under cork flats or cork
Yep.
rounds. I'm getting into these tree boas and they're really cool, but they're never on the tree. They're under the tree, and this doesn't make sense to me.
And it really comes down to the way we set them up too, right? And people, when they buy from me, they say, well, how, if they have them before and they ask, or if they're asking for a new animal, like how do I set them up so that I can promote seeing them all the time? And you want to make sure that the animal's comfortable, but at the same time, like we do this is something it's kind of vain, right? We keep these animals for us.
Mhm.
And so I try to set the cages up so that the heating element is always going to be up high, so they're not going to want to go down low. And then also, there's not a lot of hide options down low, right? I believe in more hide options up higher, or if they're low, maybe just have something that they could hide behind, like a potted pothos plant or a cork log or something like that, so they can just stuff themselves in or behind. But
Mhm.
they have an area to retreat, but they're going to come out still too.
Yeah.
Don't try to dig them out all the time and that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, if you set them up the correct way, like they're gonna be out a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.